Justin and Jiah are a couple of guys who know they're gonna die, so they're biding time by consuming content and wasting their breath. It's a podcast called Amusing Ourselves to Death. Motherfucking cocksucking motherfucking shoot! What am I doing? What am I doing? I don't know what I'm doing. I'm doing the best that I can. I know that's all I can ask of myself. Is that good enough? Is my work doing any good? Is anybody paying attention? Is it hopeless to try and change things? The African guy's a sign, right? Because if he isn't, then nothing in this world makes any sense to me. I'm trapped. Maybe I should quit. Don't quit. Maybe I should just fucking quit. Don't fucking quit. I don't know what the fuck I'm supposed to do anymore. Motherfucking shoot.
Justin.
What?
I thought we were going to record a podcast about Heart Huckabees. You seem to just be monologuing to yourself.
Sorry, we got a new mixing board and I'm trying to figure it out. I just want our podcast to do well, Jiah, because I don't got a lot left. a lot of the stuff I'm doing in the real world just doesn't seem to be working out the way I want it to artistically, and I feel like there's a lot of stuff writing on this podcast.
Welcome to Amusing Ourselves to Death. I'm Jiah Peck.
Hang on,
You need a minute?
I'm Justin Passano. Mm-hmm. I'm okay now.
Justin's having an existential crisis, which is appropriate for the movie we're here to talk about today.
Oh yeah, right. We're doing our Heart Huckabees. Mm-hmm. David O. Russell film.
2004.
2004. What a year.
That was a good year.
Yeah, it was a good year. I got into a relationship that year. Mm-hmm. I think that's about all that happened. Mm-hmm. 2 years. 3 years after 9/11.
It was a time of healing for our nation.
It was still healing.
Yeah.
They mentioned that in the movie.
The big September thing. So we're here at
Sorry, all right, I'm good now.
You're good now?
Let's go into it. Yeah.
Okay. Are you now gonna quote a line from the movie like you were going to for the beginning? Or?
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Let me go into a quote from it.
Yeah.
Nobody sits like this rock sits. You rock. The rock just sits and is. You show us how to just sit here, and that's what we need. It's by Albert Markovsky, a poem.
Ahead of its time.
I like this movie, but as we do on this podcast, we don't go right into the thing we're discussing. We discuss
an amusing aperitif, something that we are consuming visually, usually, or auditorily. You know, there could be something we're just listening to.
Right.
And we just kind of reflect on how it's making us feel, why we chose that thing. And yeah, so we'll get into that. Before we dive off that board, let's just tell the listeners at home that we are both drinking Polar Seltzers.
Yes.
I have the black cherry flavor. You have the raspberry.
Raspberry lime.
Raspberry lime? I didn't see the lime there.
Raspberry lime.
The can was turned at an angle.
All you saw was the big old raspberry.
I'm going to add the lime.
Yeah, we've been adding our Polar Seltzer flavors in the liner notes. Mm-hmm. So if you read the liner notes of the podcast...
Yeah, if any seltzer companies listen, they would want to send us a couple pallets full. I mean,
oh my god, we would love that.
We'd love,
I mean, we're ad-free, commercial-free right now, but if anybody would like to sponsor this at all, please do. Mm-hmm. Hit us up.
I mean, the goal is to quit our day jobs from this, but
something's got to stick.
Something's got to stick.
Jiah, what have you been amusing yourself with this week?
I've been playing this independent game on the PlayStation 4 called Eastshade. It's a first-person exploration adventure game, which is notable for its lack of any type of violence, killing, or generally even dark themes at all. It's an independent game, like I said. I think it was made by like 5 people in Washington State. It's one of those going off the histories of like Mist, Riven, The Witness, those like mysterious islands filled with puzzles. But this game is filled with a couple of settlements, really beautiful architecture, fantasy world. But you play a painter, so it's like the gameplay mechanism in this is you get tasked to paint certain landscapes, buildings, just all kinds of cool compositions with like the sky. And I gotta say, it's a very cozy game. It makes me want to like drink hot tea and wear sweatpants. Like this is the equivalent of like a snow day off of school. You just kind of want to live in this world. So
that sounds really relaxing.
It's got this kind of I really hate to first criticize it because I want more of these games to exist.
Right.
Not to say I don't like a good rampage in Liberty City, but sometimes I do just to kind of like not have to worry about like any kind of point system or just like racking up body counts. It's a kind of a
stats. It's murder stats.
Oh yeah, I haven't gone online to play a game in years. But this just has a very kind of the questions of morality. There's like characters reading books all the time. There's like, signs that say don't pick certain flowers, and I haven't picked the flowers. I respect like the ecosystem in this game too much to pick the flowers, even though it gives you an option to. I still did not pick the flowers.
So it sounds like it's really just playing with like human choice and
yeah. Well, the thing is, there's no humans. It's kind of like a BoJack Horseman situation where there's like 4 different species of bear, owl, deer, and monkey, and they're all with human bodies.
Monkey,
yeah. So it's a little strange. The voice acting isn't quite there, but like I said,
I've always found that to be pretty hit or miss in really any video game I've played.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it seems like they just kind of grab like whatever interns were kind of, or other
Just
people
grabbing
working
an
on
intern.
developers working on the project. Like, can you do a voice? So
I guess.
yeah. Oh, it's from my Russian accent. It has one of my favorite things in video games is in-game newspapers, where you can buy a newspaper and read about events going on in the world. I mean, that is extremely my jam. Like, cut my gums and rub it into them. That's just
Oh wow.
a little extreme. But no, I love. That's how they used to do drugs. They used to do cocaine, right? Like in the 1700s.
I have no idea.
They used to have the snuff box. They used to like cut.
Snuff box?
They used to carry around like a little, like it's like the opium or the powder, in a little box with a razor blade, and they literally used to like cut their gums open and then just like put the snuff into the hole in their body.
Wow,
that's a thing, right?
I've just heard of doing it up the nose.
Yeah, I guess they didn't know the nose worked, I guess, at this point.
Well, I knew back in the day what they would do is they'd have. There wasn't cocaine. It was called snuff. Where I think it was called that, right? Before there was there were toilets, and you just pour your poo poo out the window in a bucket.
Right. The poo poo out the window,
and then you'd put this powder in your nose because it just stank like shit everywhere.
Okay.
In the streets of London, and so it's like, so you'd keep your little tin of stuff, and you'd like put it in your nostrils, and
just addressing the symptom, not the cause,
But you're probably right. They probably just carried an X-Acto knife around and just lacerated the inside of their mouths and then shoved some fucking drugs in it.
So anyway, that's Eastshade. I'd recommend it for the consoles and also the PC.
I love that you described this incredibly relaxing game, then ended it with a metaphor of cutting open your mouth to shove.
Yeah. I mean, I have to admit that there's times where I'm playing this game, I'm just like, this is all great, but I kind of want to like just get on a horse and just like, shoot up a town and get my
drag somebody behind you.
Just something to get my heart rate kind of tachycardic, just a little elevated.
Well, yeah, you want to have interval. It's like interval training.
Yeah,
that's what you need to Jiah. You need Jiah. You need to Jiah.
I need to.
I'm having a stroke. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Jiah, you just need to Jiah. You need to have 2 screens, 2 systems, and over here you're playing your relaxing game, and then you swivel in your chair, and then you kill someone in the other game.
Oh, that reminds me of a friend of mine. Years ago, I used to hang out, and like he was utterly addicted to television movies, and he literally had 2 screens going on at once. He'd have like a TV show on one screen, and then he would be watching like ESPN on the second screen. So he'd just be kind of consuming just 2 feeds into his eyes and ears.
Well,
I don't know.
Why didn't he just get picture in picture?
He should.
I mean, doesn't that exist? Hasn't it existed for a while?
I don't think that really exists anymore.
Yeah, I guess
not.
not.
The newer TVs, I don't see that option for it. At least
I saw it a long time ago.
Inputs, I think for cable boxes used to be a thing where you can like have like HBO in the bottom right and then like the news, but then like I don't think you can switch between HDMI sources.
Oh, true. It's all different feeds now. All that makes me think of is Back to the Future 2, when future Marty McFly turns on or his son turns on the TV, and it's like 20 different channels happening at once.
Yeah,
that's what I imagine for your friend.
That's pretty much what it was. That and we were like smoking weed at the time. So
okay,
I guess
one does.
Yes, one does. But I recommend Eastshade if you're tired of all those video games where there's always a side quest and you go to do something that's supposed to happen, like something like an innocuous task, and then the bad guys swarm and ambush you. The thing goes sideways. You got to fight your way through a couple swarms of villains, and then this is just like everything goes fine. There's literally a mission where a friend of you meet some guy said, "Hey, my brother hates the flavor grape. Let's play a prank on him. Let's deliver these grape donuts, but you're gonna say they're raspberry donuts, and it's gonna be one hell of a laugh." And you do it, and he laughs, and the other guy laughs, and then you get like 50 bonus points, whatever the point system is. I still don't know what it is, but yeah. So it's all based in pranks and just like it's all like greater good missions.
Just good, clean fun.
Yeah, you find like letters on tables, and it's just like, oh, the mysteries of life are so beautiful. And that's it. No like dark undercurrents at all. So
Wow.
yeah,
Oh, there you go. Did you ever play Gone Home?
not enough to have an opinion on it.
Okay.
So sorry.
Well, no, that has a very dark undertone to it, but that game, it's all about finding little scraps of paper and like books and like picking up VHS tapes.
You like scraps of paper in video games?
Oh my god, I love it.
Yeah.
I think that's become my favorite thing.
Yeah.
I used to love shooting things. Now I just love reading scraps of paper.
Yeah, you like world building.
Yeah. That's not my thing for the week, but I played Gone Home, and I've been thinking of replaying it, and that's the only game I've ever played, I think, besides the first Red Dead, where I sobbed uncontrollably for about an hour after I finished it.
That does have a sad ending. Yeah. I'd say no spoilers, but no spoilers. Yeah,
no spoilers.
Seek out Red Dead. Yeah,
the original.
Red Dead. Yeah, play the original.
Also, play Gone Home.
Play Gone Home.
Because that destroyed me more than Red Dead.
Oh boy,
but a completely different thing.
I love getting destroyed by video games.
Oh my god.
Because for some reason I'm always thinking of like a parent figure is like, oh, these are just rotting your brains. I'm like, no, they're not rotting my brain.
No, they're giving you nowadays. It's like a movie. It's
giving
like
an emotional reaction.
Better. Yeah.
And why else do we seek out these mediums? To feel something, right?
We just want to feel something,
or just not feel anything.
Well, we're taught to feel it's either numb or feeling everything at once. So it's they at least give us a reprieve, and we get to make our own choice for once.
Speaking of choices, what's your choice for?
I was trying to think
of transition, but go ahead.
I was trying to think of something that this week specifically I've been like really into. I was gonna say Mandy, the Nicolas Cage movie. Same guy who did Beyond the Black Rainbow, which I still haven't seen. I don't remember his name. I should have looked that up, but that's not gonna be my thing. Beyond the Black Rainbow.
Beyond the Black Rainbow.
Yeah, so Mandy, it's a Nicolas Cage movie, and it's basically it's a revenge film. It takes place in 1983, in a kind of almost alternate universe Earth, where have you seen it?
I have seen it. Yes,
okay, yeah. Well, for those who haven't, alternate universe Earth, where Nicolas Cage's character Red Miller and his partner Mandy Bloom live alone in the woods, and then this cult becomes fascinated with Mandy, takes her. I won't say what happens, but
it's part of the Taken franchise.
Part of the Taken franchise, and Nicolas Cage goes after her, and the plot is what it is, but it's definitely a very brutal, gory, visually stunning movie, and I highly recommend it. It's incredible, and I rewatched it this month because as we're recording this, it is still spooky season. By the time this comes out, will no longer be spooky season.
No, put away the pumpkins, folks.
Put it away. The person who... Oh, yeah, Panos Cosmatos. Probably butchering that name. But yeah, great movie. But this week, what I'm actually been into is... not that they need a plug, but the Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend podcast.
Okay. So you're taking two.
And...
No, please.
Take it too.
Please.
No, yeah. Mandy was great, but no, what I'm really doing is...
Go on.
Yeah, okay, fine.
Talk about Conan O'Brien's. Talk about another podcast. Please.
Season 2 just started, and I listened to the David Letterman and Tina Fey episodes, and they were good. That's it. That's all I have to say. Okay. That's what I've been amusing myself with.
Okay.
So two small things.
Two small things.
Combined make... a whole week for me.
I did go on about like characters drinking tea and in the woods. So yeah,
all right.
Please.
No, that's fine. No, fuck me.
Yeah.
That's fine. Anyway, speaking of finding meaning in life, I Heart Huckabees, a David O. Russell film.
Yes.
I did want to start this out. Just that I recently discovered that David O. Russell sucks. Apparently.
Oh yeah.
Has horrible anger problems, and on the set of I Heart Huckabees called Lily Tomlin the C word. Which she came out in an interview and said it wasn't that big of a deal. Yeah,
there is video evidence of this on the YouTubes. It's just like a still frame, I guess, from the camera, and like not frame. It's footage from on set, and I think they're trying to work out some kind of blocking issue. But then it cuts to like 5 minutes later, and they're just both like going at each other's throats, and it's pretty awful. I mean, I understand that tensions can be high on film sets, but that's no reason to act, to really to lose your cool like that, and to really just to call people names like that. Yeah, it was way over the top.
Well, he's done it before. Like I read in the interview I read, he or it was like a Daily Beast article. They talked about he did it on the set of Three Kings, where he was like yelling at camera workers and stuff like that. And then also in American Hustle, like Amy Adams was having a hard time during that shoot. And then like, but Jennifer Lawrence also came out and was like, hey, we're really close friends. Like, you know, if the emotions get high, it's not a big deal. But it seems like he's just like a really difficult person to work with, much like it seems that Fincher is and Kubrick is, where it's like, where especially Kubrick, the way he treated, what's her face from The Shining?
Shelley Duvall.
Shelley Duvall, yeah. And who would just drive her to hysterics to get the shot he wanted. And it's like, well, yeah, art's important, and it's important to get your shot, but at what expense of abusing people? So
yeah, I've heard a metaphor for directing is basically you're trying to paint you're not trying to like draw a painting, but like you're like on a crane like 100 feet in the air, and you're like you have a loudspeaker, you have like a megaphone just yelling at people. I'll move the brush 5 inches to the left, no 2 inches to the right, and it's amazing that no one tries to make a bad movie. It's a miracle we have good movies in general, but yeah, I'd say sometimes we just need some perspective on what it is. It is art. I mean, it's a product. Yes, it's also art. It can be both the things. I don't know where I'm going with this, but yeah.
No, it makes sense. Like I get it. Like you have a vision, but you can't. I'd love to see a director lose their mind and then just be like, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna do it all," and then just puts on a bunch of wigs and costumes and just plays everybody, shoots everything themselves. I guess that's already been done. If you've ever seen a Neil Breen film, he's out of his mind. Same thing with like The Room. I feel like those kind of directors are like, here's my vision, and only I can do this.
Yeah. I've scoured the earth for every actor and actress, but only I have the capabilities of playing this character.
Right. So, but I get the frustration of that, and you're also working with a budget and the studio. You have a deadline. And you want to get the shot you want, and it's like, well, we just need to get this shot, and then I just need to do this one thing, and then everything will be okay. Right. It's like Walter White, just the next heist.
Just the one thing, yeah. Then it'll be perfect.
Perfect. But it's like, it's never going to be perfect. No. Sometimes it's the imperfections that make it beautiful.
Films are never finished, they're abandoned.
Right. All right, so I just want to get that out of the way. You could do your own research on David O. Russell. We're not here to talk about him being an asshole, though. We're here to talk about I Heart Huckabees.
When did you first see this movie?
I think I saw it pretty much around the time that it came out. Yeah, early 2000s.
Yeah, I saw it in theaters, 2004.
Okay.
I remember like 2004 is when I first got my driver's license. I think that's when I started going to more movies that I didn't have to like convince my parents to sit through or just drive me to the theater. So
nice.
Yeah, I kind of went on a big. That's when I started trying to define myself as like a movie guy and just seeing everything I could. So, but yeah, this is one that still on my DVD shelf after all these years, after all the cullings of my collection.
Same here. Mine is one side is widescreen and one side is full screen.
Which is a base. I have something to say about that.
Yeah,
it was definitely a low point in our species.
Yeah. Well,
the full screen and widescreen DVDs.
The copy I have, I don't know if it's the same kind that you have, but it's very confusing as to which side is side A and which side is side B. So it's like, am I supposed to put? Okay, so if widescreen is on side B, should side B be down or up? Like, I
made the mistake as well.
Me too. I was
playing it. Yeah,
I put it in and I had to get up.
It's like, film has been modified to fit your skull. Like, no, goddamn, you're not modifying shit.
I had a plate of hummus on me. I had to put it down. Yeah. It was like, it was a whole thing. It was a whole day.
Surprised you actually finished the movie. I mean, I would have.
I didn't finish the movie. No.
Yeah, right. I mean, that was back when like we still weren't really mass producing widescreen television. So, we just had these kind of, square TVs and people are like, why isn't the movie filling up the whole frame? I paid for this TV and this movie. It should be filling up the entire frame. God forbid, not every deal is fulfilled and fully accounted for. You got to fill everything to the brim.
Right.
And I think there were efforts to educate people like, no, it's the frame and like the black box is supposed to be there. Like in all the Criterion DVDs, it's like, yes, these are normal, just because you're not seeing this in a movie theater. So like, but to preserve the image that the filmmakers intended, there's black bars just to kind of, so it's not being squashed or stretched out. And still you went through like Walmart and Target in the early 2000s, just like, here's the full screen section, here's the widescreen section, or at least they had them next to each other, but it was still, it was a low point in our species history.
It was. I remember I bought the Back to the Future trilogy box set and then got home and realized it was in fucking full screen and I was infuriated. And I didn't realize it until
should have gone Back to the Future. Back to the. There's a better joke in there.
We're gonna go back. No, the first time I watched this, I think I rented it and we were in my friend's garage drinking as like I was pretty young.
As you do.
As you do. And we were drunk and watching, and I think it really just blew our minds. Especially, I remember my friend Devlin especially connecting with the Mark Wahlberg character, where it's like, if you use petroleum, you're a fucking murderer. And just like, we're in the height of the war, like post 9/11, like stuff like that. So it was definitely like, I don't know. It's a movie you watch when you're in college, or like, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, you want something that's really gonna blow your mind?
Right, this guy's saying the truth.
Yeah, and they don't have Magnolia at Blockbuster. Rent I Heart Huckabees. Here you go. I love this movie. I think it still holds up. It didn't really do very well at the box office.
I think it bombed completely. Yeah.
It's like
it opened like 10th or 9th in the box office that weekend, whenever it came out.
Yeah.
Which I believe could have the title might have something to do with it. Like, do you believe this title is like evocative of the movie itself? I mean,
I don't know. I see, that's the thing. Like, I don't remember it being in theaters. I remember seeing trailers for it, and they always showed the like, I don't know. They always showed like some of the funny parts of the movie. Like, I don't remember.
How am I not myself? How am I not myself?
Yeah. Or the I know what you mean. No, I don't know what you mean. Like
Or hitting them with the balloon, the ball, the balloon ball.
It was a lot of like, hey, look who we got. We got Mark Wahlberg. He's in this. Dustin Hoffman's in this. Here you go. Go see this movie.
Yeah.
But I never heard anything about it until it was like at Blockbuster.
Right.
But I don't know. I think it's okay. I think it probably was rented more because then you're at the video store and you see the cover and it had the indie font and all the pictures of like, oh, it's got Lily Tomlin and Mark Wahlberg.
It's got Naomi Watts with like her exposed belly button on it.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's got Jude Law with his exposed belly button.
Plus, I think at that point it was known that it was from the director of Three Kings, which was I think it was a big hit or somewhat of a.
I was aware of it at the time. I never saw it, but so if I was aware of it, then.
I saw it years ago. I don't really have much memory of it, but
yeah.
So I heard like I Heart Huckabees. Even some movie theaters were confused. And the marquee they put up, I Love Huckabees.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, I feel like there might have been some other titles tossed around, like even like How Am I Not Myself? Just something that kind of speaks to like the truths that these characters are after, as opposed to kind of like almost like an ironic, just kind of like, Huckabees is like kind of a villain in the movie.
It's like it's a department store.
It's a department store.
It's almost like a Walmart or like they sell it's the store with everything.
Right.
I think that's what they call it.
So it's just like, I heart it, but I hate it. So I guess that was the jokes we were telling back then. We still telling actually.
Fuckabees.
Fuckabees. They should call it Fuckabees.
Yeah, they should have called Fuckabees.
Yeah.
She said Fuckabees.
Yeah. What? Get her out of here.
Get her out of here. So basically, the movie it's about a few different characters. It starts with Jason Schwartzman. You're kind of following him. He's the head of this coalition for open spaces, which is against. As he puts it, he doesn't want to we don't need to cover every square inch of the earth with parking lots and condominiums and stuff like that. It's like we want to preserve this meadow, and that's what he's really fighting for at this moment. But he's also having this, I guess what you would call some kind of existential crisis where he's been seeing this African guy everywhere.
Yeah, he's like having coincidences where he keeps running into like the same person.
And he's like, oh, this has to mean something because he feels like the work he's doing means nothing and he's not getting anywhere. And then you got Jude Law, who is... head of marketing or something.
He works at the corporation. I think they're kind of working with like his charter of trying to preserve these wetlands and this marsh.
Yeah, he works for Huckabees.
He works for Huckabees.
So they made some kind of unholy communion where Jude Law kind of wheeled and dealed him and was like, hey, yeah, we'll give you money for your coalition and I'll help you do this. But you find out that he only did it because that means they're going to build a mall there.
Right. Well, it's going to be an eco-friendly mall.
Mall.
Yeah. This is kind of a very timely movie for what we're going through with the movement to like, deal with climate change and, getting fed this bill of goods by the oil companies. Like, oh, you got to reduce your carbon footprint, but like we're cool with like spilling oil in the Gulf. And
yeah. It's like choose what you're going to pay attention to and be upset about today. Like you pick one.
Right.
And then we got Mark Wahlberg, who's a firefighter. This all takes place in L.A., I believe.
Yeah.
But he's a firefighter who's already kind of like having gone through like the existential detective agency.
Yeah, and we're seeing like the real human cost of like having these extreme beliefs. I don't want to call them beliefs, but yeah, he has these truths that he cares passionately about, but is also like his wife and kids are like moving out of his house,
Yeah.
because he has this.
He's telling his ex-wife that you're filling our child with lies, and it's like if you use petroleum, you're a murderer. You should never don't drive cars. He like rides a bike,
Right.
Just like very like it's very black and white, where it's like, no, we need to pay attention to this thing because we're killing the planet, we're killing ourselves, and you're all hypocrites.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
This movie reminds me of that one quote. I don't know who said it. You can look it up. But no, don't look it up. It's basically all of man's troubles derive from his inability to sit in a room by himself quietly.
Yeah.
So
I think that was probably Dustin Hoffman's character.
I'm sure it was. It was actually Dustin Hoffman who said that. No, but we're put on this earth to just basically procreate and die, but there's a lot more time left over after that, or there's time between that or after that, or that doesn't even happen to begin with, the procreation part, not the death part. But and then we just kind of look inward from deeper meaning and look around ourselves and like, what does all this mean? Why are we on this rock hurtling through infinite voids? And this is just kind of a movie that's kind of trying to present like a couple of different viewpoints on that. Like the existential detectives have this, everything's connected and everything. It's cool. And you have the French woman's more nihilist perspective of it's all chaos. We're all alone in the universe.
Like the world is cruel.
Yeah,
it's about suffering.
So it's kind of like using those three characters to kind of tell like, look, here's the ways you can look at your life, and here's the costs and benefits of each. And then we have characters who are just kind of like filtering through like even though we kind of follow Albert, we still like kind of are seeing the results of those philosophies through their clients.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and that's the centerpiece of the movie is the existential detective agencies, Lily Tomlin and Dustin Hoffman. I almost said Justin Hoffman.
Justin Hoffman.
And Albert hires
Justin. You having that stroke?
Yeah. Here we go.
Justin.
Sorry, ever since the top of this episode, I'm sorry I started crying in front of you. That was emotional.
We usually cut that part out.
Usually we cut that out. We're gonna start putting that stuff on Patreon. But anyway, so they go to this agency to help them find meaning in life, and Jude Law ends up is it Greg? I don't know.
Jude Law's character?
Yeah.
Brad.
Oh, Brad. Yeah, ends up getting sucked into it too. So because Albert's doing it, he hires him because he thinks they're like a therapist.
Yeah, I think he also reveals he's kind of hired them just to kind of disrupt Albert's state of mind to get him kicked out of the coalition.
Right.
That's where it gets a little plotty. It's like, like this is a very low stakes movie to begin with.
I just think it's very small though. It's like about this handful of characters, and it's literally just about this meadow being paved over. That's it.
Yeah.
And everything else is kind of just going on within the minds of these characters.
Yeah.
I don't know. But then by the end, we find out that Brad is having his own despair.
He's having his own issues, and then it kind of like his girlfriend gets like infected by it as well, and she starts wearing those Amish bonnets.
Wearing a bonnet, yeah.
She looks good in them. So
yeah. Hey, Mark Wahlberg's character, he likes the bonnet.
Yeah.
Do you still love me?
Yeah.
I think so. With the bonnet. Well, this covers a lot of. I did before you came here. I was watching a little video about existentialism. I was on Wikipedia.
Right.
So
going down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, let's just go really quick.
Sure.
If you're not familiar with it, existentialism, from what I've read, is I read the Republic of Plato. That wasn't really existentialism. That was essentialism. Essentialism.
Okay.
But yeah, it's experience. Existentialism is the experience of the human subject. And it's all about authenticity. And it's basically like Plato and Aristotle believed humans were born with a purpose. So it's like, oh, you're born to do this certain thing. And I think that's the way a lot of people think, where it's like, if I'm an actor, it's like, I was born to do this. Like, I have to do this. A lot of that's like, like
a defense mechanism. Just
yeah. But yeah, especially to find meaning in life. And it's like, well, what's my purpose?
Right.
And then Nietzsche, he embraced nihilism, which was the opposite, which is like there's no purpose. But yeah, then Jean-Paul Sartre, I don't know.
Big Daddy S.
Big Daddy S. He proposed that we're born without a purpose, but it's our duty as individuals to find our purpose. So we're not born to do anything, but it's all about us. We have to find our own meaning in life, but at the same time, there is no meaning. but there is.
We're not born with like a list of objectives, like tattooed onto our hands.
Exactly.
Which would be kind of cool in a way,
It would be, I guess.
Yeah. Like move to LA.
You're
quit my job.
You learn to read finally, and then you read your hand, and it's like move to LA. It's like
finish that pilot you've been working on for 2 years. Ask that girl out.
Well, now it's becoming like Memento. Now it's all over your body. Do not trust this man.
It's a long list. License plate TG1724.
Yeah, so I mean that's the bare bones. You can feel free to do your own research on that. But
do you think people are watching these movies before they listen to this podcast, or they just maybe they've seen them before, or they just want to hear our voices?
I have no idea yet. I don't know. Sometimes I can only speak to myself because I'm an individual and I only live through my own experiences.
You could be the only person that exists, and we're all just like figments of your brain, just hallucinating.
Well, that's
solipsism.
That's Descartes, I believe, right? Or like, is that him? Or it's like, if I close my eyes, do I still exist? Or does the world still exist? I know I exist.
Right. Sorry, you were saying?
No, I'll like when I listen to Blank Check and stuff like that. Like I usually only listen to the ones that I know. I've seen this movie, but I could see myself being like, do I want to see this movie? Like I'll watch reviews of movies I haven't seen yet just to be like, oh, should I see this?
So but it's always more fun to be informed, I guess. If
Yeah. So I do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
But know that we're going to be talking about the movie, so.
Yeah, I don't say
understand
we're gonna have any kind of spoiler warnings.
Yeah, I was thinking about this today. Let's just do away with the spoiler warning. I think you're of the same mindset where it's like, who gives a shit about spoilers?
I had this extreme viewpoint where it's like, if you weren't there on day one at the very first show, then you didn't care enough about the plots to begin with. So it's your fault if you get spoiled. So I've since like backed down from that, but I still have that belief where it's like, well, if it was that important to you, then so.
This is not
just avoid the internet until you've caught up. I mean,
I'm of the just give it a couple weeks.
Oh, of course, I'm not saying like broadcast from the rooftops, like
and specifically just for like the Marvel movies. It's like if it's a big movie and it's a character's gonna die, just like don't fucking blast it out.
No, I don't believe that. I don't believe in. I don't know what I believe. What do I believe in, Justin?
How are you not yourself?
I'm not myself.
How are you not yourself? Anyway, but yeah, that's existentialism in a nutshell. There's no meaning. We have to create our own meaning in life. And I feel like that's what Albert, because he talks about how there's all these coincidences. Like the African guy. I keep seeing this African guy.
Yeah.
But then we find out he's the doorman at his parents' building. So he's seen him before. So he's lying to them.
Right.
And they essentially like catch him in the lies. Like, you're planning your photos here. Like, none of these are coincidences. You're not being authentic.
You're trying to create meaning for yourself.
Yeah, and it's not authentic. So therefore, that's why you're like anguished because you're not facing your own dread.
Right. Then you live in a place and like you have like routines and you go to the same place to get gas. You go to the same place for work. It's like you're bound to run into the same people every now and then. It's not like some kind of grand magic trick of the universe. It's just like you live in a certain square footage of space.
Right.
So. I never see you around town, even though we live pretty close. But every now and then,
Yeah.
I was hoping that maybe I'd go down to Wawa, get some gas. Like, hey, Justin.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see you around.
Yeah, it'd be nice. It's nice to have neighbors.
I had that back in my hometown in Plattsburgh, where I literally couldn't walk anywhere downtown without seeing 5 people I knew, and I'd always call it the stop and chat. Whereas if you were on a schedule. Too bad, because guess what? You're going to be doing some stop and chats because you can't just walk by.
Right. You got to check in. How you doing?
Check in. How we doing?
How's X and Y?
Yeah.
Oh, little Z. She's growing up.
Right. Last night I was at Cali Burrito with a friend and somebody put their hand on my shoulder.
Ooh.
And it was my friend Bill. And I could not have been more disoriented. The fact that I saw them there out in public because... It's the same idea.
You come to this like region famous taco place as well.
You know about this place?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is, if I saw you at Wawa, not knowing you were going to be there, I would be frozen in fear.
Right.
And I would.
Yeah, I ran into a mutual friend of ours at Wegmans like last Sunday, and that was just one of those like, hey, how you doing? What's up? And then like, well, I'm going this way. Yeah, I gotta go get some broccoli, and then we run into each other a few times, like passing by and just making some jokes because.
Yeah.
Like they say, joke but love me. Joke but love me.
Look at me. Don't look at me. Don't look at me. Look at me. Love me. Am I pretty? Tell me I'm pretty. Yeah, so I mean that's the essential plot of the movie. It's like it's what I feel it is. It's just Albert not being authentic, and then they call him on it, and then the stuff about his cat, like how his mom treated him. They get to the bottom of that, and then he realizes through like despair that he and Jude Law's character Brad are the same.
Oh, he has he has the Polaroid of Jude Law, and like he like kind of superimposes his own face onto Brad's face, Jude Law's character, and there's like just like visual representation of empathy. You know, oh, that could be me. I do love that sequence where I believe it's after Albert steals his file and he's running out of the building, and the accidental detectives Dustin Hoffman, Lily Tomlin, they talk about. Throughout infinity, your energy recycles into every possible person's energy, even Brad's. You've been predator and prey with him, friends, brothers, sisters, mother, child, and it has that shot of Brad just pretending to be like an old Italian mother, and he panned down, and there's Jason Schwartzman just like graphically breastfeeding.
That image still haunts me.
It's lodged in our brain somewhere.
And I knew it was coming, and I was like, oh, here we go. Here's the Jude Law with breast scene.
Yeah.
It's just something about
very realistic too. I don't know, there's some kind of like prosthetic they put on him, or
that's the part of it that's the worst part, is that it's hyper realistic. It's just it's the prosthetic itself that bothers me. Yeah. I mean, I could get down with Jude Law having breasts, like mentally in my head, but then to see milk coming out of it's
just kind of sloppily disturbing. Drinking, it's just like coming out of his mouth, and
mama. That's why he chops everybody up with a machete. Yeah, I don't know. Like, who do you identify most with this movie?
Oh, jeez.
Because I think I identify with...
his identity is kind of meaningless, Justin. I mean, it's just a common thread throughout the movie.
Yeah, but then in the end, we find it's not meaningless because it's the blanket. Should we just talk about the blanket?
Go with the blanket.
Okay, then we'll get back to who we identify with.
Yeah.
The blanket is what Dustin Hoffman describes as like we're all the blanket.
Everything is everything. It's all connected. You know,
he takes out a literal blanket and he's like, "Here's you, here's me, here's the Eiffel Tower. This is Paris."
Yeah,
and he's very delighted that it's Paris.
Yeah, that was in the trailers a lot. Yeah, it's Paris.
It's a hamburger.
This is war. This is an orgasm.
Yeah,
it's all connected.
And then he gets into it later again because Mark Wahlberg calls him out on it, and he's just like, "No, there's not like there's spaces in between." Everything. He's like, and there's even like tinier little connections between those spaces, and it's like, no, we're still all like we're all sharing this energy, and we're all just passing it back and forth, and it's like we're all connected.
And they kind of hammer that home with those little like visual like flares, but they kind of like have these little mosaic boxes pop out of their faces and just kind of float all around the place, which I think was a nice touch.
Yeah, I think
so.
Like
part of me was like, oh, this is like, okay, this is like a detective story. Like I was kind of maybe if I hate saying this. If I were directing this, like some kind of like, play with like the conventions of the genre detective movies. I'm not saying make it black and white, but you could have done stuff with voiceover or even just like some of the lighting choices. But it's a very bright movie. I
had the same thought because when he goes to them, it felt like it's like, oh, they could have done this more like a noir movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But we all make choices, and obviously David O. Russell made the wrong one.
Yeah,
that's the mountain I'm gonna stand on.
Yeah, it seems like he made a lot of wrong choices while filming this movie.
Joy.
One little detail I loved while we're on Dustin Hoffman is, Dustin Hoffman, I guess now is also problematic. I don't know who isn't now.
Is he?
I don't know. I'm not even going to say that because I don't have the information to back it up. But the fact that he has all those little squares and like the tiles drawn on his chalkboard and they're on his back.
Yeah, that's a great moment.
It's a funny little detail. I don't he puts them in the body bag. That's how you can see all these visions. Jason Schwartzman. I don't know. I love. I don't know. It's.
What about Shania Twain?
Yeah, Shania.
It's the Shania story.
Yeah,
Which brings me like to the point like about the timeline of this film. Like how much time elapses from the start to the end? Because I noticed on this rewatch that when she's playing, Lily Tomlin's playing back all the audio that they bugged of Brad talking about the Shania story, it spans from like May to September. So that's like the
Like
whole summer.
there's like a flight that she's on.
Yeah,
with him.
yeah. And she's like, oh, this is May 31st. This is June 5th. This is July 31st. And it's just like, it didn't seem like this movie was taking place over that long of a time span. But
It's weird, yeah. Because it's, if you notice, it's also like always daytime.
yeah, there are no night scenes.
There
in
are
this
no
film.
night scenes in this film. And it all feels like it takes place in like a day.
Yeah.
Or like a couple days. But yeah, I have no idea. That or they had been following him earlier, but that doesn't make any sense.
That wouldn't make sense.
Because he doesn't find them until after Albert gives him the business card.
I mean, this movie is only about like an hour
Dustin
and
Hoffman
45 minutes or so there could have been stuff cut out. Who knows?
Yeah. But I love that where he's like, Brad is just like this hot shot. Like he's very concerned with how he's perceived. By the end when he's breaking down and what's her face takes a photo of him and he's like, nobody sees that photo.
Yeah.
Like people can't know.
When he's in the executive bathroom like crying, the way he just like there's other execs come in and he just like rockets right into the stall, you know. Like, everything's fine,
Which is similar to what the cat story when remember Jason Schwartzman gets the news that his cat is run over and then he runs to the bathroom and cries and he climbs out the window.
Yeah.
They're the same. They're the same person.
They are the same.
But no, yeah, Brad has a brother. I think the brother's Greg.
Yeah.
Right?
Loves geckos.
Loves geckos. He's not doing well. He's overweight. He's not. He's kind of the opposite of Brad. And Brad almost like hides him from people. Like he doesn't talk about his family.
Yeah.
He always tells this Shania story over and over. And
No mayo.
No mayo. Now Shania, she's starving and she hates chicken salad.
Speaking of there's all that buildup with the Shania story, and when we actually finally see Shania in that elevator, it's not like, I hate to like say, oh, she's a bad actress, but like it seemed like they really cut around her performance. Like it was very brief. It just didn't feel like that should have been a big moment, you know, with the final reveal of Shania. At least if you're gonna bring her on set into this movie, like. I don't know.
It seems like there was like some ADR too, where it's like you don't even see her mouth really moving.
Yeah, as I said, like
cut to the back of her.
They're editing around it. Like maybe just something with her performance wasn't working for him.
Yeah.
So
I don't know.
Plus, like the fact there was just that kind of wacky hijinks with like the elevator opening and closing, fights, and people getting on, people getting off,
going up and down.
Yeah,
I love that. I don't know. I felt like their emotional thing where people kept coming and being like, "Oh, you're going down, huh? Yep." And then it's, "Oh, you're going up, huh? Yep." And they're just like at the will of this elevator and at the will of other people. I have this story here.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to read it.
Shania hates mayo, all right? She can't eat chicken salad. That's no joke. We gave it her once. She threw up in the limo. The lady hates chicken salad. So I bring out a bunch of tuna fish sandwiches. She still doesn't believe me. I say, Shania, I'm allergic to mayo, which, by the way, is a lie.
And everybody claps and laughs.
Shania still doesn't believe me, so I eat 2 of the sandwiches in front of her to prove it. So she eats 1.5 sandwiches. 1.5 sandwiches before she realizes it's chicken salad. And she liked them.
Such a story. And they call him out at the end, too, where this like, you just lied to her and deceived her. And then at one point she says, like, I'm a vegetarian. I eat tofu tuna.
Right.
So it's like half of it's a lie. Yeah.
It is worthy of that moment of like Jude Law like thrown up into his mouth, you know, like some weird substance when he has to like realize, I gotta tell this fucking story over and over
like
again.
I don't even know who I am. How am I? Yeah, and then it gets to the point where he's like, how am I not myself? Or like, what's so fucking great about depression? And like, nothing. And if it's hiding something that you're not facing, and just the whole how am I not myself? How am I not myself? And then he's walking through like the office and everybody's like coming after him, asking him questions, and he's like just putting on this face and he's like barely holding it together. It's like, I feel like that's how I feel most days. And then the ball. Mark Wahlberg.
The balloon ball, the
balloon
yoga.
ball.
What do you call those things? Like those yoga balls?
Yeah, it's like you sit on it. It's like an exercise ball. They hit themselves in the face with it, so it's like
just
Albert
to stop
says,
thinking. The pains it's like pain, distraction that's numbing us. But then they learn it's inevitable to get drawn back into human drama. We can't just be walking through life numb.
I connected with that quite a bit, where it's like, oh, there's days I'm feeling good, and it's like, oh no, I'm not going to get involved in like people's messy lives, and I feel like I think naturally we're just sucked into that, just the drama of life, which is funny because they say that, and then she sleeps with Albert in the woods in a very
Very dirty,
weird, dirty sex
scene.
lots of
dirty quotation marks around
close
dirty.
up on Schwartzman's butt as he's humping her in the mud and shoving her face in the ground,
giving each other mud baths and just like, rolling around in the dirt.
Yeah.
That looked fun to film.
Yeah, looked like looked like David O. Russell had a great time filming that. Shove her in the mud harder, you C word. Yeah, I don't know.
I want to talk about the dinner scene that features the on-screen debut of Jonah Hill.
What a performance. Yeah. I got ultimate high score omega level. Yeah. He's playing that weird game.
Mm-hmm. It's got Jonah Hill, it's got Gene Smart, it's got Richard Jenkins, the dad from 6 Feet Under. I mean,
wearing a very obviously fake beard.
Yeah, that was
like why
not a good
give
look.
him the beard?
Yeah, it's
so weird.
They're playing a family missionaries and just kind of showing another aspect of life. Where it's like, they're driving gas guzzling SUVs, but like they're taking in an orphan child from Sudan. But then Mark Wahlberg's like, well, what caused the civil war in Sudan? You're driving those SUVs around. So
he's like, yeah, you should be ashamed of yourself. It's like you're the monster, man. Like you're such a hypocrite. Yeah, and they only took in the Sudanese guy just to be like, hey, look what we're doing. Look at all the good we're doing. Yeah.
I did like there's like one throwaway line where the dad's like yelling at the kids like, hey, don't do that again, or there's no internet tonight. Just kind of a time capsule of like the early 2000s. Like, yeah, there's like one computer in the house, and if you just misbehave, you can't use the internet computer.
That's really the only thing in this movie, because you don't really see any cell phones or computers other than that, really.
No.
People going on the internet.
They're on bikes.
Other than that, it's a little bit more timeless. Except for that little little video game he's playing. But
yeah, and they have some video cameras, but nothing.
Jiah, I mean, what happens in a meadow at dusk?
Nothing.
Everything.
Nothing.
Everything.
Nothing.
It's beautiful. And I love that. I love how the parents are just so like, it's nothing. Nothing happens.
Nothing happens.
Don't go there. It's like, what?
Yeah. It's not a beautiful sight.
Like they just unravel so quickly. I wanted to, let's see, here's some other notes I had. I love how when they're investigating Brad and going through his trash, and he's just planning Kafka books. And Dustin Hoffman's just like, Kafka, it's so fishy.
Yeah. Speaking of the detectives, I love the way that like early on Lily Tomlin is like blatantly planting wiretaps all around Albert's house and like his place of work, and just like just putting bugs in there and just like I don't know. There's I feel like I wanted more of that. Like give me like a normal case of theirs. Not to say normal would be possible, I guess, with their line of work. But
do you think like this movie would benefit from being from the perspective of the detective agency?
Possibly,
like opening on them, and then we don't see Albert. And it'd be more like a noir thing where he comes in and he's like, "Hey, I need help," and maybe they're narrating the movie and being like, "Oh, this is one of the most complicated cases." I don't know if that would have worked or been too cheesy.
Yeah, detective stories. Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's clear like conventions you play with that genre, and like. Even like the husband and wife detective team, well, I guess that has been done before.
Yeah. Oh, you're talking about Mr. and Mrs. Smith?
I think so. Yeah.
The Brad Pitt, Angelina movie.
Yeah. Would this movie be better with Brad Smith and Angelina Jolie?
Let's get two spies and they're married.
Yeah.
What else did I have here? Yeah, Open Spaces versus Huckabees. Yeah, so by the end of the movie, Albert's off of the coalition. So is Brad. Brad's broken down. His girlfriend is now with Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah,
because she's wearing the bonnet all the time.
That is a pretty like perverse like hookup scene where like the fire like they tried to burn down their jet skis in the garage, and like she got like inhaled some smoke and she's like passed out, and then he gets to the fire before his truck does, and like he wakes her up.
Yeah,
and they start making out, and then they both pass out because of the smoke.
Yeah, it's absurd.
Yeah, it's great.
It's absurd. Part of existentialism is the absurd, which is no meaning to the world besides what we give it.
Yeah, we're all alone.
We're all alone.
Yep.
I found a really nice quote. Is the philosophers believe that the ultimate hero of absurdism lives without meaning and faces suicide without succumbing to it. Which is basically like, it's all fucking chaos. We all like I don't know, just everything's random and crazy. That's what it feels.
It's interesting you brought up suicide because like they didn't really look at like some of the greater ramifications of like kind of going down these rabbit holes of existentialism and nihilism. Is like some people just they get into that mind space and then they decide to check out early. So I mean, it is a comedy. I'm not expecting to have a scene.
No, but the
French
woman who's like promoting nihilism or nihilism, you know what I mean? Like she's just like, oh yeah, embrace this, and it's like, well, what's the benefit of it? Like it doesn't seem freeing at all to these characters. It just gives them more and more despair. Mm-hmm. But it also just seems like Jason Schwartzman is into it because he wants to sleep with her, and then
it's very attractive. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I like the other stuff, which I guess is a part of the other and the gaze. It's like a part of existentialism where it was like, oh, you experience things because you're experiencing them with this other person. So therefore, I don't know. I was reading a little bit about it on the Wikipedia page. Yeah, but it's interesting that they use that same language to be like, oh, you're going to meet your other, because Jason Schwartzman's paired up with Mark Wahlberg's character, and they're both on the same page. And it's like, oh no, you need a partner to go through this. And it seems to, I don't know. I wish they had laid out more of the structure of like, here's what the detective agency does. Like we surveil you, and then because she keeps saying like, no, he's not ready to move on to the next step yet. And
yeah, they kind of seem to be making them up as they go.
Yeah.
Which works as like just a way to keep the audience kind of interested and invested, but also it seems like they for the amount of clients they had and during that Moncala party, like are there just two of them handling all these cases?
Well, there's those twins and there's like a child and then there's like another. Yeah, it's weird.
The mojitos, I think, or something like a lot of lemons out on the table. What kind of drink that is?
Yeah, I think it was mojitos.
Mojitos with lemons.
Great acting from Mark Wahlberg in this movie. It's very Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, it seems like it was like this period of his career that he kind of really popped first in like Boogie Nights, and then I think the next one was like Three Kings. But then this was like kind of one of those like, it's kind of a wacky little comedy.
Yeah, he's just having fun.
Yeah, he's just having fun. But then like he seems to take this turn like in the mid to late 2000s where he's like now he's just doing action movies and like very like intensely like patriotic revenge films. So
just revenging for America.
Mm-hmm. If he was on that one plane on 9/11, he would have stopped the terrorists.
Oh yeah, obviously.
Yeah.
I just feel like this movie is like, if you're gonna do a Mark Wahlberg impression, like you draw from this movie, because this is like Mark Wahlberg just throwing it all out there. Just like, come on, man. It's just very like, it's like not since The Happening. It's like that. This movie and The Happening is very like rich with Mark Wahlberg sound clips that you could.
I do love his outfit. He's wearing like that white that white like button down shirt. He just got like the fireman boots on half the time, and just him like riding a bicycle through like traffic. Yeah, there's some like great visuals in this film.
Well, those fireman coats and boots are not.
They are heavy.
They're heavy. And he's riding his fucking bike around like in full gear in some scenes.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, he's out of his mind. He's always punching people.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know how he wasn't like fired or put on some kind of like administrative leave. After like all those events of just like hosing down other firefighters during a fire, just like not taking his job seriously. Like, yeah, he just would have been taken aside, like, buddy, you're taking some time off,
Well, this movie exists in a world where there's very little consequences. Yeah. There's no like police showing up
or nighttime. There's no nighttime.
There's no nighttime in this world.
Yeah, this
is an alternate Earth of it exists in the Mandyverse.
Yeah, you can just bike everywhere.
Yeah,
which is it's a nice thing to think about, being on a bike everywhere.
Mm-hmm. I've always romanticized riding a bike everywhere, and then tried doing it briefly and realized not only is it terrifying doing it on the road with cars, but it's also exhausting, turns out.
That, and like if I get like a scrap in a dress, like, oh, you got to go down to Woodward Avenue. Like, where the hell is Woodward Avenue, You got to get one of those Rand McNally maps out, or ask someone at a gas station, or probably like just look it up on Google Maps.
Yeah.
Waze it. I like the last line of the film a lot.
Oh, yes.
Should I bring my own chains? We always do. Such a loaded. There's so much meaning in that line. Like the things that we're always bringing things that weigh us down, bring us down, whether they're sources of pain or pleasure. Wherever we go, we got those Jacob Marley-esque chains on our backs.
We fasten them ourselves. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do like how they say, I don't know, because it proposes that there's no concrete answer. There's no like one philosophical idea that's gonna like be it. It's best to just kind of just pick and choose. Like the way they find their happiness in the film is by embracing both nihilism and existentialism, it seems, or just like taking a little bit of both. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Kind of making your own kind of meaning, which I guess is the overall thing.
Yeah, you'd say
not subscribing to just one viewpoint.
Yeah, if all the answers are in the the ground of the earth. You just like kind of dig the holes and just like, oh, I'll take some water from this hole, dig another hole, take some water from that hole.
Yeah. What makes most sense to you? Which water benefits you most?
It's all coming from the same source, basically.
Right.
So
Exactly. Because he even says to them, he's like, you guys actually work together, don't you? And it's like, I think it implies that the three of them were very close.
Yeah.
And then something happened, which it would have been cool to get
a sequel. I Heart Huckabees 2.
A prequel.
Yeah.
A prequel of Dustin Hoffman, Lily Tomlin, and then I don't know her name.
I think it's Isabella Huppert.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Just those three in Paris, just the hijinks, and then at the end
they're all like in college, just like chain smoking and reading books in cafes and just taking drugs all the time.
Yeah, and you don't even, it could be them younger. You don't even have to use like the actors.
No, Justin, we live in a world where if we want to have an actor portray a younger version of themselves, we have to spend $50 million on de-aging CGI effects because we won't buy someone playing another actor playing that same character years before. So we're just too damn dumb to understand. Oh, well, that's maybe he's like they call this character Jimmy John Johnson. But then earlier on, they call him also Jimmy John Johnson. But if it's not played by the same actor, I mean, how am I going to know? Fucking dumb.
Have you seen Gemini Man yet?
I have not, no. I'd like to. Unfortunately, we're not in the vicinity of any
a movie theater. There's no movie theaters around here.
There's not really any movie theaters around here.
No. Oh, well. Guess we just not have to see Gemini Man.
Yeah. Wait for it to show up on... there's a street downtown where they sell DVDs bootleg. So, you ever been down there?
Downtown?
Downtown.
Where all the lights are bright?
All the lights are bright, baby.
Never been down there.
Yeah.
Been to the Times Square, though.
So, you had something to say?
No, I mean, I wanted to get back to who do you relate with in this movie? Is there a certain character you relate with most? Doesn't have to be a main character.
I relate to the city of Los Angeles.
Okay, great. A character in itself. Much like a Woody Allen movie, the city is its own essence and being a character that interacts with the other characters.
Right. And it's all bright sunshine lollipops and there's no darkness. So that's, how I feel in my day-to-day life. Just it's all positive.
Great.
Keeping it popping positive.
Popping positive.
Yeah. Do you have a character you relate to? While I revise my answer? Please.
I think when I was younger, I related most to Jason Schwartzman's character because he was angry. I think, I don't know, I really related to Brad in the end, just being like, I don't know, he's just trying. He feels like he has to be somebody else sometimes, just like be successful. And because it's easy to get like pulled into human drama and get wrapped up in all that stuff. I thought that was just, I don't know, Brad by the end felt like, he's like he doesn't want anybody to see him upset and cry. He has to like maintain this image, and I feel like we all kind of go through that. You know what I mean? We can't like
we're all wearing masks.
We're all wearing masks.
Extent, yeah.
Exactly. So yeah, I thought that was because he's a character that you expect to just be a villain, and then by the end he kind of comes around, and it's like, oh, the film kind of really goes into his importance too. Because Jude Law plays a good asshole.
Yeah.
So it's like, did it really humanize him? Really drives point the home that we're all together in this.
He just wasn't some faceless villain that we were supposed to not ever see how he's seen the world at all. So.
Yeah.
I also did like that guy at the front desk of the hotel said, "Sign your bike out, sign your bike out, sign your security."
I loved how they were so. Yeah, that tickled me too. Yeah,
I never signed. Like I go to like a lot of buildings for work, just places that for law firms or just skyscrapers in Philly, and like I sign in a lot, but I never sign out because by that time I'm just like I'm out the door. I'm not. Someone's log is incomplete.
You've already signed out in your mind.
I'm already signed in my mind. I'm not gonna sign out in person.
Yeah, I mean it was important that they knew that you had gotten there. Who cares when you leave?
Just assume I left. I'm not hiding in the bathroom waiting for the place to close and I'm gonna burgle the vault or something.
I mean, it's easy to figure out that you're not there. But it's harder to figure out if you are there and to check the sign-in sheet. It's totally more helpful than the sign-out sheet.
They don't even need a sign-out sheet, just a sign-in sheet.
The cat we talked about
a
little bit. Just how Albert was, his cat died and his mom didn't really.
You were orphaned by he was orphaned by the Civil War. You were orphaned by indifference.
Oh, I also want to point out in my notes here on my phone, at some point. Wrote down almond milk because I thought this was my grocery list. And I guess that's the last thing I want to say about it.
We're getting the grocery list, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good movie. I think it holds up.
Yeah, it's not like a... I hate to say no one's heard of this movie. Of course people have heard of it. But it's just one of those just kind of movies that, you know, we saw as younger people, maybe kind of shape some of our outlooks on life, our perspectives on the universe and what's really going on.
Yeah, and it was right in the middle of that the indie movie kind of thing where, you know, indie movies were...
Yeah, it had that good John Bryan score, had that Knock Yourself Out song, which I still have on my music player / device.
Your MP3 player?
My MP3 player, yeah. I have to charge it separately from my phone. So it's
yeah, let's say, was it 64 megabytes?
64 megabytes.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I might get like an extension, like an extra external hard drive for it, so...
Well, that's going to run you some money. I got a thumb drive the other day.
I'm just going to go to Radio Shack. They'll have one.
Yeah, they'll have one.
Yeah.
Expensive. Mm-hmm. Well, anyway, that's our Heart Huckabees.
Yeah, check it out. I believe you can find a DVD copy at your local DVD store.
Walmart in a bin for $1.
Second and Charles has it used.
Oh, good. Yeah, don't buy anything at Walmart.
No. Don't go to Huckabees. Walmart's basically Huckabees.
Yeah, basically.
Oh, that's a real good insight pack. Oh, Walmart's Huckabees. Huckabees is Walmart.
That's our third host who occasionally chimes in. Sounds like Jiah doing his voice in a lower register. The guy really hates Jiah, though.
I'll be back.
Oh, see ya. See ya, Tommy. Yeah, that's it. I had nothing else to say.
Yeah, that's I Heart Huckabees. Check it out. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
Please rate, review, and subscribe.
Yes.
And we'll see you later.
We don't know how to end this show.
I think that should be it. We'll see you later.
Well, okay.
We'll see you later.
Do it together?
Because the joke is, like, we won't see them because this is an auditory format.
Oh, okay. So that's... All right. So let's do it.
Is that a good joke?
Will...
Joke, but love me, Justin. Joke, but love me.